Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Comet Algebra. This video is for Algebra 1, Chapter 9, Section 4, Multiplying Binomials Using the FOIL Method. And yes, we have gone from Section 1, Section 2, and then we jumped to Section 4, because in your book you need the skills that we learn in Section 4 in order to be able to do the problems in Section 3. So yes, I'm going a little out of order here in case you notice that. All right, I'd like to start off with a reminder from Chapter 8 when we were doing exponents. When you multiply like bases, you add exponents. So just a quick review of that. If you have 3x squared and you're multiplying that by a negative 2x, say to the fourth, you still multiply the numbers, the big numbers, like you always have. 3 times negative 2 is still negative 6. And when you have these like bases, the base here is x. So here's two of them. Here's x times x. And this is x times itself 4 times. So there's 4 of them here and 2 of them there. The shortcut was that we added the exponents. So remember, you're asking your brain to do two things. You're asking it to add these exponents and multiply these numbers, and sometimes brains don't like that and they mix that up for you. So just a reminder, when you multiply like bases, please add the exponents. So now let's move into our discussion about multiplying a binomial times a binomial. And this x plus 3 is a binomial, this x plus 4 is a binomial. And what I see students doing in all levels, in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, they forget about foiling. And they look at this and this is wrong, so I'm doing this wrong. Please understand that. But we sometimes forget and we think that, oh, well, x times x is x squared, and 3 times 4 is 12. Woohoo, I'm done. Okay, yeah, not so much. You have only done half of the problem. The word FOIL is an acronym, and it helps remind us that there is not just these two multiplyings to do that I did up here. You don't just have two multiply things to do, you have 4. I can't emphasize this enough. Take the number 4 and make it giant over here and put beautiful colored circles around it and highlight it, and emphasize in your notes that when you have a binomial times a binomial, you have 4 things to multiply. In the word FOIL, the F stands for the first term times the first term. And I'm going to draw arrows to match up with these word FOIL. So the first term in this binomial is x. The first term in the second binomial is x. So F, first times first, is represented by this arrow. Now the word O stands for the outer term times the outer term. In the first binomial, the x is on the outside. In the second binomial, the 4 is. So I'm going to draw an arrow connecting the x times the 4. And that is what the O stands for. The I in FOIL stands for the inner term times the inner term. In this first binomial, the 3 is on the inside, and here the x is on the inside. So this arrow stands for the O in FOIL, and the L stands for the last times the last. Well, the 3 is the last in the first binomial, and the 4 is the last here, so this arrow stands for the L. Sometimes students refer to this as double distribution, and I kind of see what they're saying. Or you take this x and you distribute it times both of them, and then you take the 3 and multiply it, distribute it times both of them. So let's actually do the foiling on this example. X times x is x squared. That's the first times the first. The outer, this x times this 4, is a positive 4x. The inner product, 3 times x, is 3x. And the last times the last, 3 times 4, is 12. So see how I have 4 terms in my answer. I'm not quite done yet because 99% of the time these two terms are alike and they can be added together. So if I add 4 and 3, I get 7. And this trinomial now is the answer when you multiply these two binomials. And typically, a binomial times a binomial does give you a trinomial, but not always, when we'll look at some special cases in this chapter. Let's do a few examples together now, practicing the FOIL. In example 1, first times first is x squared. Outer product is 8x. Inner product is 7x. And last times last is 56. Combining these two middle terms, I get 15x plus 56. This trinomial is your answer. There's no more like terms to add. We're done. And then sometimes we have to watch our negative signs, like in example 2. First times first is x squared. Outer product is 2x. Inner product, notice the negative sign, is negative 8x. Last times last is negative 16. Once again, we can combine our outer and inner product, and we get negative 6x minus 16. This trinomial is our final answer. In example 3, the negative sign is in the last binomial. So we just got to get used to that. So first times first, whoops, I kind of missed with that. There is x squared. Outer product is negative 9x. Inner product, positive 6x. Last times last is negative 54. Once again, combine your middle terms, and this trinomial is your answer. Now sometimes there's a number in front of the x, and this example has two negatives. So let's do an example like this. 5x times x is 5x squared. The outer product is negative 25x. The inner product is negative 3x. And last times last, negative times negative, is positive 15. Once again, combine those two middle terms, and we'd get negative 28x plus 15. That's your final answer. Example 5 has a number in front of both x's in both binomials. So here, the first times the first. 4 times 8 is 32. X times x is x squared. The outer product is positive 8x. The inner product is negative 56x. And last times last is negative 14. Once again, combine your outer and inner product. If I did this right, 8 minus 56 is a negative 48x. And we still have our minus 14 for our trinomial answer. Now your book will throw something like this at you now, where you have just the binomial and they're squaring it. And I don't know how many times I've seen an Algebra 2 student, okay, I'm going to do this wrong, so don't write this down. They'll say, oh, I'm squaring this. This has to be 9x squared. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Yay, I'm done. Okay, yeah, not so much. This is not correct. So what I recommend you do, since squared means this thing times itself, I recommend that you write it that way. You take this binomial and you times it times itself. Because when you write this out, you're much more likely to see the foiling. So again, I'll draw the arrows in because sometimes that helps. We have 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. Negative 4 times 3x is also negative 12x. And negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Once again, combine those middle terms, and you do get this trinomial for your final answer. All right, now you have the knowledge you need for foiling, so have fun with math.